So I've been really sick for about a week or so. So this is just a little quick video, something I was just putting together whilst I was sick, on the Patreon supported feed, just because it's funny. So quick summary, a bunch of people managed to get $85,000 in crowdfunder money for a conference that's so ineptly run that it'll probably never happen. This is an expenditure of money that makes Anita Sarkeesian's famous $160,000 Kickstarter look like a good investment. The money was raised on a promise that a whole bunch of YouTubers would be there, and they were promptly ditched or quit after the money was raised. Indeed, this Kilroy conference is now more famous for the sheer number of people who have dropped out rather than those who will be attending. The whole thing is a sanguine lesson in not giving huge sums of money to grade A screw-ups who claim they have 100-something IQ.
Because my IQ is extremely high. It is extremely frustrating to not only be an intellectual anomaly myself, which I guess 140 is above average, whatever.
Seriously, if you thought DashCon was a shit show, that was the one where on the first day of the conference they basically got everyone in a room and said, we need $20,000, otherwise the conference not gonna happen.
Anything helps for us to stay here until the rest of the weekend.
Unless everyone in this room can accumulate $17,000. That's right, 1, 7, and 3 zeros. 15 right now, so in theory you're just $3,000 short. Dear Lord, these kids want this con. I say give it to them.
And then, as a reward for all of their screw-ups, they offer the conference goers an extra hour in the bull pit. Seriously, that's the bull pit that they were offered an extra hour in. The bull pit was later urinated in.
And I should stress, that's actually the bull pit that they got as a way of saying thank you for the extra $20,000 they raised. A little history. Following some drama at VidCon, a bunch of people decided it would be great to have their own conference, a free speech conference, which was kind of a stupid idea from the very get-go. I mean, a free speech conference necessarily involves fringe voices with controversial ideas, like, say, for instance, legitimately believing that Hitler did nothing wrong, or arguing that Jews really are genetically inferior subhumans, or that God hates fags, or that vaccines cause autism, or how about NAMBLA? There ain't no more endangered speech than those advocating for the legitimacy of man-boy love. Else, it's not really a free speech conference now, is it? The bottom line is, if you're doing a free speech conference right, no respectable person would be seen dead at this. Let's keep an open mind about the government controlling minds through chemtrails, or why does the mainstream media have such a bias against flat earthers, or why is the government suppressing the knowledge of the moon landings being faked to build a time machine to assassinate Kennedy? I mean, sure, keep an open mind, but not so open that your brain falls out. And hell, what free speech event wouldn't be complete without people wiping their asses on a Quran, or even better, a pig's ass, or burning an American flag on a big pile of burning American flags? You know, like Voltaire said, I might disagree with you, but I'll defend to the death your right to say it. But only retards would travel thousands of miles and spend hundreds of dollars to come and hear you say that retarded shit. What's wrong with you? Yeah, the reality is that free speech is typically defined by people saying things that almost no one likes or agrees with. And that's a good thing. But a free speech conference is just an outrageously dumb idea off the bat. I think what they actually meant is we're going to have our own VidCon with strippers and blackjack and so on.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna go build my own theme park with blackjack and hookers. In fact, forget the park.
But newsflash, guys, what you actually meant is you were going to have an anti-social justice warrior conference, or a conference that won't be run by libtards who find everything problematic or offensive, or simply a conference that doesn't appease everyone's neuroses and hysteria. But somewhere along the line, someone had a spasm and called it a free speech conference. And the community thought, wow, that's a great idea. Let's show that we're really good thinkers here and give it $85,000. And what was the very first thing they did? I kid you not. They looked them in the eye and said, "Here, we're having a free speech conference. Now sign this piece of paper saying that you won't discuss anything for 3 years."
Thing's a farce. I mean, the majority of the headliners there, actually all of them have spoken in various locations before. Never in my life. I mean, I've been given contracts, but I've never been given an NDA non-compete that spans several years to a 100-mile radius. I mean, that's cuckoo banana cake.
Yeah, 3-year non-disclosure agreements required for the speakers just to participate. Anyway, wasted mama or basted mama or whatever decided she wasn't just going to make this retarded conference happen for the good of the community. She was going to turn this retarded idea into a franchise.
I mean, all she wants to do is help establish this event. Oh, wait, did I say event? I meant business.
Most NDAs are indefinite, so I put a 3-year limit on it because I'm like, well, that's plenty of time to establish our business model and streamline the process so other people can take Kilroy to their cities, and do their thing, and like we can help them out with getting contracts and contracting with vendors and venues and doing all this shit. Like, I was like, yeah, that's cool. Like, we had a fucking plan. It wasn't like we just pulled this shit out of our asses.
Yeah, her mouth was simply writing checks her IQ couldn't cash.
Because my IQ is extremely high.
It was the best piece of ego outpacing ability since Mr. I know all the keyboard shortcuts.
When the mediator commented to somebody else that Davis is as fast at editing as anybody I know in Hollywood. I know all the keyboard shortcuts.
Was fantasizing about how his brilliant filmmaking skills were going to get him on television, all to the sound of the adulation of the crowd.
He's saying if we played our cards right, we could get this, we could be interviewed on The Daily Show.
And not as the guest to be ridiculed, but the guest to joke with.
Yeah, actual friendly guest.
Yes, right presentation, this could be Daily Show.
But yeah, I mean, this could be like, we could be on Bill Maher, we could be on Last Week Tonight, flip it around, we could be on Fox News, we could be on, Red Eye, Fox and Friends, all across the board, CNN, MSNBC, like this could really get out there.
Davis does not know fuck all about filmmaking.
He doesn't know how to set the white balance, but if you look at his recent videos,
we're going to create a high quality product that will go down in the annals of history as a high-quality documentary that, with any luck, changes the world.
Speaking of which, I wonder what Anita's doing these days.
Vroom, vroom, vroom. Hey Anita, what you doing?
Oh, okay, so I'm rehearsing for our next video. We're gonna have all these like CGI lightsabers and I'm gonna mow down stormtroopers. It'll be so cool.
We don't have a budget for that.
We have a budget for that.
That's not how Jedi mind tricks work.
Vroom, vroom.
Okay, good talk.
Wow, something tells me she's probably not in the league of getting those $20,000 speaking fees anymore. As someone who's an expert on games and stuff. Now, the way conferences are usually done is as a business. That is, you don't usually give money to make a conference happen. You buy tickets, and from that, the organisers pay the rent for the venue, speakers, and such like. The whole give me $85,000 and I'll organise a conference was a little weird. That being said, if someone just came up to me and said, "Here, I want you to organise a conference, how much money do you need to actually sort of do it all?" $85,000 sounds in the right ballpark. In the right ballpark. But that would be assuming that I didn't pay any of my money out to begin with. It would basically be for organising a free event. But no, they're going to charge people something like $200 just to come to this conference that they've already given $85,000 to. Well, what the hell? Anyway, the thing that really put the cherry on all of this was I saw an interview that Baring did with Based Mama. And God, was it painful. But this was the bit that caught my ear in particular. She was going to pay $20,000 per speaker.
Up with the figure of $85,000, I mean, you must have some idea, some formula, some basis on which to nominate the figure of $85,000 because you've got X expenses. How did you arrive at that?
Like I said, we factored in average cost of speakers, which is Surprisingly high, actually. It's about $20,000 a person.
But didn't you have 26 speakers at the start?
A lot of people were, just volunteering, so that was good. And then we had, like I said, a small budget for compensation.
And then, of course, it turns out that they're actually paying the headline speaker, something like $1,000. So, in summary, the whole thing was a really, really small version of Brexit. I mean, seriously, here we are a couple of years on for Brexit, and still it's not clear what Brexit is, even to the people trying to negotiate it. The only thing people seem set on is whatever Brexit is should happen. Oh, if only someone could have seen it coming. In fact, the shit show's got so bad now that the British government at this point simply does not have the capacity to do anything in the time available, other than crashing out, which has so many problems that you really just can't list them, or staying in the common market, which effectively means no change. I don't know, maybe if I'd made the argument beforehand from a modest understanding of British history, that Britain's kind of had a history of screwing things up. In fact, since World War II, almost the only constant in UK politics has been their ability to screw things up.
Between those who have been endlessly rubbishing our country and running it down, and those of us who believe in Britain. They say we can't do it. We say we can. They say we have no choice. We say they are woefully underestimating this country and what it can do.
But is that the direction the Chancellor's taking too? Yesterday in Davos, he said life outside the EU would only be modestly different, enraging Brexiteers and destabilising the Prime Minister too.
What I was telling my audience of British companies was that we will seek the closest possible access to the European market so that we can go on trading our goods.
And it is a high priority on the agenda, and we're hoping that that's going to be negotiated in the next couple of months. It's not entirely straightforward. I think we understand that the terms on offer it will be basically a continuation of the status quo, although of course the UK will have left the EU and therefore won't have a vote or seat at the table in future decisions.
The Leave vote has left us with a group of leaders who, having lit the fire, have all run away, saying someone else can clear up the mess. The Prime Minister who put us in the mess has resigned. All the people that put their cross down for Leave, saying this is what we want, they seem to be getting a group of people who say we can't stop immigration, we can't give 350 million. Oh, and by the way, there might be quite a lot of austerity. Sorry, bye.
We vote Leave and take back control. I believe that this Thursday can be our country's Independence Day.
Like this firm exporting turbines to Europe.
Here you get a clear sense of the scale of what's at stake. As the Prime Minister tries to balance various wings of her party, businesses just want to know that they'll be able to balance their books. They still have no real idea what our terms of trade will be in just 14 months' time.
Yeah, who could have seen having idiots in charge of negotiating the unspecified for the uninformed would end badly. Oh man, they're going to need the mother of all bull pits to make up for this one. Anyway, for me, this just provided some simple lulls whilst I was a little sick. So, because it's been about a year now since I looked at the skeptic community and I wasn't so keen on what it smelled like or where it was going. Interestingly, at the time, I got absolutely panned for it. And now, here we are, about a year on, and skeptics are pretty much derided by everyone. Yeah, maybe I had a little more insight than people gave me credit for when I pointed out that people like Lauren, the Rebel, was more manufacturing the news than reporting it.
I came here wearing a hat, so it's my fault.
Yeah, these are not black and white issues. They're all judgment calls. But I can tell you, you'd be a hell of a lot more respected as a journalist if you actually tried reporting the news rather than manufacturing it. Oh, and what happens like a couple of months afterwards? The Rebel media is putting up legal support funds before going to disrupt a play like this.
Freedom. Stop the normalization of political violence against the right. This is unacceptable. You cannot... Get off the stage.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to pause. We're going to pause. Security.
This is violence.
Security, please.
You are all garbles!
You are all Nazis like Joseph Goebbels. This is Goebbels. You are all Goebbels. You are inciting terrorists. The blood of Steve Scalise is on your hands. Goebbels would be proud. Goebbels would be proud. Goebbels would be proud. Nazis. You are Nazis. Goebbels would be proud. Goebbels would be proud. Goebbels would be proud.
What exactly was that money for? When Laura Loomer was arrested in New York, Ezra had already set up a donation page for legal fees. And that was before she even stormed the stage. When Rebel said it needed $25,000 to make a documentary about Iraqi Christians, the documentary never happened, and to turn stories into campaigns.
But I can tell you, you'd be a hell of a lot more respected as a journalist if you actually tried reporting the news rather than manufacturing it.
Over and over, Ezra would drill into us the importance of collecting email addresses.
There's a backstory to that has to do with how the Rebel raised money and what Ezra asked of Lauren in relation to it.
Now, do you remember that Israel trip that Rebel crowdfunded for? The one that took place at the same time that Lauren Southern went independent? It's not a coincidence. It actually turns out that Rebel crowdfunded more than enough money to cover the costs of that trip, and yet they still demanded she make a video asking for more. Of course, Lauren refused, and after raising concerns about the ethics of lying for the money that they didn't need, she was unceremoniously fired and threatened with legal action if she ever spoke out about it. That's right, she didn't leave, she was fired.
Or watching Sargon of Akkad go all messianic, saving the planet by doing for political philosophy what Trout and T did for science.
24 hours. Because
Look, I understand how much work's going into it because I'm doing similar levels of work in, I guess, political philosophy at the moment, right? I'm constantly reading, I'm constantly researching.
Because, you know, it takes great political insight to predict that Le Pen would win the French elections.
So I think Le Pen is going to win the French elections, and I will tell you exactly why.
All to see her lose by 65 to 35, completely wiped out. But hey, I guess he can still be proud for what he's leaving his kids.
I'm not going to lie, it feels really good. It feels really, really good to know that I'm the one who's doing the right thing, because I know that a lot of people aren't. Maybe these are people who might want to sort their lives out, especially if, I don't know, they were thinking about leaving a library of videos to their child when their child was older, so the child could see just what their old man was like.
The thing that caught my attention was I'm a human being, I'm a person, and you need to respect me. And
you understand that I'm a person, don't you? You know, you guys understand that I am a person.
It came off like, dude, you sound like the people you used to make fun of. You sound like fucking Anita.
You understand that I'm a person, don't you?
What I couldn't say is I'm a human being.
This is what I mean. Like, I'm being treated like I'm not a person. I'm just not in the mood to deal with this kind of disrespect. And I know it sounds like, oh my God, he's demanding respect. But yeah, to be honest with you, do you not think that, like, we should have a level of decorum in interpersonal interactions?
And it's in response to a campaign to try to fight online harassment. And you saw fit to tweet at her, to say to her, I wouldn't even rape you.
Yep. And do you understand why your moral outrage about that is something I just don't care about? Do you not think that, like, we should have a level of decorum in interpersonal interactions? Because you know what? I know that when my son is old enough to watch my YouTube videos, he'll be beaming with pride at his old man. And look, yeah, like, sorry, Nisakis, and how dare I hurt your sensitive feelings. Look, you carry on, but don't expect me to then have a debate with one of your faggots. Why would I bother? Like, why would I bother? You act like enough class time now. Maybe you're just acting like a nigger, mate. Have you considered that? Do you think white people act like this? White people are meant to be polite and respectful to one another, and you guys can't even act like white people. It's really, like, amazing to me. It's genuinely amazing to me.
Oh my God, that was beautiful. This part definitely has to get clipped.
I'm sure it will, and I really don't care if you don't agree to these standards.
But whatever, Lauren's still kind of hot and Sargon's kind of entertaining, and while both of them were on board at the beginning of the Kilroy event, it seems both of them quit fast on the disintegration of the skeptics community. Honestly, I've kind of enjoyed watching this. The more so as I quit skepticism before quitting the skeptics community was cool. I called rebel media on manufacturing the news before it was cool. I called Brexit as a train wreck before it became bloody obvious it was a train wreck. Hell, going even further back, I was one of the first to call out that feminism was destroying the atheist community. And as for this Kilroy event, okay, I admit, I'm late to the party on this one. And honestly, I've not really seen anyone point out that, yeah, whilst free speech is one of the pillars of like a modern Western civilization, a free speech conference is just a really stupid idea. But while I've got no interest in fighting battles over labels because I've got other fish to fry and I'm happier the way the direction the channel's going. But let me just say this. The skeptic community I quit was made up of people who vocally identified themselves as skeptics. And such was what people understood when they said they were a part of the skeptic community. But you have to bear in mind that not everyone who calls themselves a skeptic is a skeptic. Just like if someone says they identify their gender as attack helicopter, that does not a gender make. Or claiming that they have 140 IQ doesn't necessarily make you smart. A skeptic is not something you identify as. It's something your actions define you as. Just a thought.